Welcome to my YouTube channel hidden deep in the icy landscapes of Russia, where frozen rivers become roads and dense forests turn into mazes. Something truly wild is built, not in giant automated factories but by hand, bolt, by specialists who live and breathe off-road survival. These are the legendary 8x8 all-terrain vehicles, monsters with 8 wheels, low ground pressure, amphibious capabilities, and the kind of rugged engineering that looks like it could roll through a war zone. And in a world dominated by high-tech assembly lines and robotic precision, the Russian 8x8s are built differently. They're crafted with purpose, with human touch, in metalworking shops that smell like welding fumes and diesel. This is how they do it. It starts with a bare steel frame, fabricated entirely in-house. No outsourcing, no pre-made kits. Thick square tubing is measured, cut, and welded by hand to form the skeleton of the machine. Engineers and craftsmen spend weeks on a single chassis. They use jigs and supports to make sure every angle is precise, but the work is far from automated. Each weld is done manually, with a seasoned eye ensuring structural integrity that can withstand brutal terrain. The frames are boxy and utilitarian, with no interest in elegance, only function, durability, and strength. Once the skeleton is done, it's time for suspension and axles. Unlike most road vehicles, these ATVs don't rely on high-speed performance. They rely on torque, articulation, and simplicity. Each of the 8 wheels has to move independently, absorbing bumps and navigating obstacles. The team installs solid axles, heavy-duty, often modified from military or agricultural equipment. Leaf springs or custom-made coil setups are attached, depending on the terrain the ATV is meant to conquer. Some models even feature double spring setups to increase articulation. The suspension is built not for comfort, but for survival, so the ATV doesn't tip, snap, or sink when things get serious. Then comes the real heart of the beast, the drivetrain. These ATVs aren't powered by huge V8s or electric motors. Most use rugged diesel or gasoline engines, often sourced from trucks or utility vehicles. A popular choice is the reliable UAZ or gas engine, known for their simplicity and field-repairable nature. The engines are installed with custom motor mounts, bolted directly into the frame. Manual transmissions are preferred. No electronics, no complications, just gears, levers, and cables. Power distribution is the trickiest part. With 8 wheels to drive, the gearbox must connect to a central transfer case, which then splits torque to front and rear chains or shafts. Builders often fabricate their own transfer cases or heavily modify existing ones. Each axle then receives power via chain drives or direct shaft connections, with gear reductions in place for extreme torque. Some builds even feature independent drive systems for the left and right sides of the vehicle, allowing tank-like steering when needed. The wheels are massive, huge balloon tires that look more like inflatable lifeboats than anything you'd find on a car. These low-pressure tires are the secret weapon of Russian ATVs. They float on snow, mud, and marshes instead of sinking into them. Builders source these tires from aviation or agricultural suppliers, sometimes even making them from aircraft wheels. They're inflated to as low as 1 psi, allowing them to deform around obstacles and create a soft footprint that won't damage delicate ecosystems. Once the mechanical systems are in place, the team moves on to bodywork. Again, nothing is prefabricated. Sheet metal is cut, bent, and welded by hand to form the boxy exteriors. There's no paint robot here, just grinders, cutting torches, and muscle. The cabins are designed for functionality, with high clearance, flat panels for easy repair, and sealed compartments to allow amphibious travel. Windows are made of polycarbonate or thick laminated glass to resist branches, rocks, and the occasional bear encounter. Inside, the cabin is Spartan but effective. There's no infotainment screen or luxury upholstery. Instead, builders install waterproof switches, rugged levers, and mechanical gauges. The driver's seat often comes from a bus or truck, bolted directly to the floor. Heat comes from a wood-burning stove or a repurposed engine heater. Insulation is minimal, but effective, often just foam panels covered in vinyl or metal. It's not about comfort. It's about staying alive when the temperature drops to 40 below zero. The build isn't complete until the vehicle is fully amphibious. That means sealing the cabin, protecting the axles, and often installing pontoons or additional flotation devices. Some builders go further and install water jets or paddle wheels to improve speed across lakes and rivers. Every weld is checked for leaks, every seam is sealed with industrial rubber or marine-grade caulk. The goal is simple. When this ATV hits the water, it should float, not sink. Testing happens right outside the shop. The vehicle is driven over logs, through frozen swamps, across deep snowdrifts, and into ice-covered rivers. If something breaks, it's repaired on the spot. Nothing leaves the workshop until it survives the gauntlet. These vehicles aren't made for highways. They're made for the taiga, for the tundra, for places where maps run out and help isn't coming. One of the most famous builders is SHERP, whose 8x8 designs have gone viral for their almost cartoon-like proportions and insane off-road capability. But they're just one part of the story. Across Russia, dozens of small builders craft their own versions, from backyard inventors to semi-professional teams. Each one is a little different. Some are sleek, some are monstrous, some look like Mad Max machines. But they all share the same DNA: handmade, overbuilt, and unbreakable. These vehicles are used for everything from oil exploration to hunting to medical rescue. In places where helicopters are too expensive and roads don't exist, the 8x8 ATV is king. They haul gear, transport people, carry supplies, and often become mobile shelters in the wilderness. Some are fitted with winches and cranes. Others carry outboard motors or chainsaw racks. You name it, someone's built it. What's remarkable is how much of the work is done without computers. There are no digital CAD files, no 3D printing, no robotic welding. Just old-school craftsmanship, trial and error, and a deep understanding of what works in the wild. These builders learn from experience: what broke last winter, what worked on the ice, what failed in the swamp. That knowledge gets passed down, improved, and welded into every new build. Even painting is done manually. First comes primer, often brushed on. Then industrial enamel is sprayed in camouflage, bright safety orange, or matte green, depending on the mission. Some builders add graphics or logos by hand. Others leave them raw, with only the scars of fabrication as decoration. The cost of building one of these machines can vary wildly. Some garage-built 8x8s might cost under $20,000, while professionally built expedition models can top $80,000. But they all have one thing in common: they're made to be fixed in the field, not towed to a dealership. That's why simplicity is key. A broken belt or axle can be replaced with tools carried on board. There's no software to update, no diagnostics port. Just wrenches, welders, and willpower. The culture around these vehicles is just as unique. Builders share tips on forums, swap parts at local meetups, and post videos of their latest creations plowing through ice and mud. There's a sense of pride, of survival, of ingenuity. It's not about speed or luxury. It's about capability, self-reliance, and the satisfaction of building something from scratch that can go where even tanks hesitate. Every bolt, every panel, every hose clamp tells a story. A story of frozen forests, of roaring fires in remote cabins, of machines that don't care if it's raining, snowing, or 50 below zero. These ATVs don't just travel through the wilderness, they live in it. And their builders do too. So the next time you see a Russian 8x8 lumbering through a swamp or climbing a vertical hill of ice, remember, it wasn't built by robots in a factory. It was built by hand, in a shop that might double as someone's garage. It was forged in fire, tested in nature, and born from a place where reliability isn't a feature, it's the difference between making it home and not. That's what makes these machines legendary. That's why, in the most unforgiving places on Earth, the Russian 8x8 ATV reigns supreme.